Welcome to the Black Girl Flow podcast, a space dedicated to creating conversation that pushes us to be in alignment and at peace with ourselves and the world around us.
We are about cultivating joy, growth, and success in our life, love, and identity. So join us as we find our flow.
We are your hosts, Liv
and Lex,
two 20-something-year-old Black girls working every day to be in flow.
And we want you along this journey with us. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Black Girl Flow podcast. We hope that December is just treating you so nice and cuddly wuddly snuggled.
How are the Sages doing out in the world?
How could I forget about them?
I don't know how you keep Barbs. Nikki. Listen, we can't forget about the Sag.
I'm literally
we can't forget about the Sages.
They didn't even care if we forgot about them because they were on their own.
You know, I feel like Sages, a matter of fact, do care, would love all the recognition, would actually love the first calendar month. You know, like when you open up a calendar with the pictures, like that's what it's giving.
That's what it's giving. Well, we're sending a Sag shout out to all the Sages out there. I actually have a lot of Sages in my life.
Yeah, Aquarius, air. I almost said water. Whoo, girl. Air and fire. And I'm on the cusp, so.
Yeah, you are a little cuspy.
Yeah. I feel like Sages flock together. So,
agreed.
You know, I'm sure that y'all are living your best lives. I would hope so.
It's like if you can toss a rock, you probably hit a couple Sages.
Exactly.
Isn't that how it goes?
I feel like Sages, they're the people in my life that, you know, you just strike up a conversation with on a flight. And
I could see that.
That, you know, they might have completely rebirthed themselves. And there are, you know, just they're just on flights.
Between the Barbs and the rebirth, I don't know any other way that describes a Sag more accurately. So I love that. And I love that for the Sages. And we're giving you all your flowers in your season and the spotlight that comes with it. But Liv, before we get into the pulse check, I have to keep bringing it up until we really finalize it.
Mm-hmm.
What are the girlies called? What are we calling the girlies?
They're definitely not called the girlies. So that's the first step. That's the first step.
Work with me.
They're not called. I'm the type of person that can tell you what I don't like.
Right.
And then it'll take me some time to figure out what I do like. So for those that are out of the loop, we've been trying to figure out what could be the perfect tribe name for the people in this community.
Exactly. Our day one, our, A1 day ones, our new listeners. What is the community? You know, when we're really showing out, when the girlies are up.
Yeah, this girlies, man, it just has to stop. It has to stop.
Me some. That's what I'm saying. I want something. Give me something. I'm here.
Tell them your idea, and then we're gonna vote on it in an Instagram poll.
Y'all, I think Sister Friends has something. I just think the way that I say it is giving to auntie. So Sister Friends, because, you know, like we got each other, you know, like you linked up, like we come in numbers.
Yeah, Sister Friends. Hey, I'm not mad at it. I just think I need to see the aesthetic, the branding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is definitely giving. It gives me grandma vibes, like the butterscotch candy.
That's what I don't want that. I don't want that for us. I want the we up.
We up.
I want the we up, and I got my girls. Like if I call, I know. See, here I am. If I call them, they gonna come in numbers, and we gonna show up. But we gonna show up in our groundedness, our wholesomeness, our baddiness, our affirmations, in a goal-driven path.
Right. It's so crazy because there's just been too many names that have been overdone that just people cringe at these days.
Yeah. So that's why we're going to be different.
And that's why this is a collaborative process. So let us know how you feel.
Co-design with us. So with that,
pulse check time. Pulse check time. You know, I am feeling, again, how am I feeling? How am I feeling, actually?
This is such a wholesome face.
It is one of those things where as you grow older, you're learning what you do and what you don't like. You're learning what I feel like I'm just like still settling into myself.
Could you even go as far, Liv, to say at some point as growing older, you don't even decide, your body decides for you. And it is a disrespectful process where
Yeah.
it's like what I do like or don't like. I'm sorry. I'm all done, drinking milk because my
Yeah.
body said we're all done drinking milk. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that that was going to be the last ice cream cone I eat in a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Jordan Woods was talking about this back during Thanksgiving. She was like, I don't know about y'all, but I just don't know if my body can handle the Thanksgiving dinner plates anymore because I woke up this morning and usually I would do the Thanksgiving dinner for breakfast, but I can't even do it. I have that times 3
Yeah.
and my body again, it's just like settling into myself. And I've been transparent with my friends as well that like somewhere along my movement journey, getting into relationship, like getting back on birth control, your girl has become the heaviest that she's ever been. And I say that laughing and with a smile on my face. But at the same time, I am like, whoo, like new body, new
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
And
Who is you?
yes. And
Yeah.
it's weird because it, you see celebrities like Georgia Smith gain weight,
Yeah.
and in a sense, people expect her to address it. And then, you have people from high school or college that may gain weight, and it's like, can you just address it? Like, there's just this weird feeling of, but at the same time, obviously, since, we're the girls and we be chatting, like, I'm a talk to other people about it, but it's not something that necessarily has to be like the forefront of a conversation.
Totally.
It never should be the forefront of a conversation, but I am like, again, settling into it.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the opportunity to really like talk to people about it as
Yeah.
much.
I think that's so fair on both sides of the spectrum because there's also that kind of moral discourse around people who are on Ozempic too, and
Mm,
whether they need to state it or not state it, kind of addressing the opposite of like, are we going to talk about that you look so different or that we're seeing this progression? And then on the flip side, people just owning where they are. And I think Tim's response to this was like the funniest where she was like hop off. Like y'all are really wild and right now
yeah.
making bold claims about who, what, when, where, why. But I do think that as women, it is a really interesting process in womanhood to like find that body set point and just your relationship to it. It's a funky place, like you said.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah.
Who arrived?
Yeah, and it's not even one of those things that it's like just the reprogramming.
Yeah.
I think so much of growing older is reprogramming and accepting yourself where you are and what you're able to give. And if you want to make a change, then make a change. But if you like it, then like cool. And you're cool with it, then cool.
Yeah.
It's just that my Caribbean American background has a lot of indoctrination, a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And so I'm like learning constantly to love myself again in this first draft form, and then cool with rewriting the narrative whenever I want. But
Yeah.
that felt like very therapy-esque to just pour my heart out to you guys on the mic.
Just here.
But
It's just
yeah, that's
us.
how I'm doing. How are you doing?
I think that I am in my head about a lot of different things and trying to find the words, which I hate not having the words to understand or articulate how I feel about something. But y'all know I've been in the process of restructuring my life in terms of my day to day routine and things like that. And I've definitely been
Because of
quitting my job.
yes.
For the people who've been around, for quitting my typical 9 to 5 and really kind of trying to build out an infrastructure of different endeavors and things like that. So I find myself in now a very untraditional path. I'm still working, I still do freelance consulting stuff, so I'm still busy. I still have a workload. And so I've been trying to focus on the things that I'm really loving about this process, like not always having to be like up and on somebody else's time in the start of my day. Like I get more days where I get to set that schedule than I am on the opposite. But girl, when I tell you, you want to see yourself acting silly, goofy, be unstructured. Like, have no structure in your life. I am in 1 2 hour session being like, I'm going back to work. Forget this. Like, I hate this life. To, I love this. I get to go to Costco in the middle of the day and run the errands because my prime work time is, between the hours of this and that. So I am really like catching up with myself in a lot of ways of that, and trying to find the words to be like, what am I experiencing today? And is this just a phase of the transition? And gosh, I hope I get through it, because I'm like, I can't do this. Which almost reminds me when you first moved in and you would just like roll up into my office and be like, I'm done. I'm quitting my
Yeah.
job. And I'm like,
Hanging by
I
a
get it.
thread.
I totally get it now. I totally get it. But I can't quit a job because I'm now employed by me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a weird internal, and I don't have any like colleagues to kiki with. So it's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
me. It's just different. It's really different. So I'm in a new phase of relationship with the different.
Hashtag entrepreneur, hashtag freelancer.
Which, ew, I hate being
That's
so
not.
cringy
How
and
is that
being that entrepreneur
cringy?
spirit.
That's
It's
not
just,
even. It's not even like that. It's literally a fact, and it's something that you should be very proud of. And
yeah,
so navigating it is just gonna be one of them things,
one
girl.
of them tings. It's the tings for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. But God got you, girl.
I know. But all of that, I think, from our pulse checks to where we are now in the moment of just navigating, finding how we're feeling in the moment in a way, brings us to this episode, which I'm super excited about because I think it builds on some episodes that we've done in the past that really have resonated with people, of just what it would mean to go towards the things we're resisting. And I think in both cases of our pulse check, just saying what we're resisting or saying the things that we're navigating becomes a part of the process, but really diving deep into what does it mean to find that area of your life that you want to dive deeper into, that the barriers or mindsets that might be blocking you from taking on a big endeavor, big step, and then navigating the change towards that. Which reminds me of that episode we did of your fear of your own success a little bit. But this feels more in the weeds of, okay, we might fear our own success, but then how do we move from that fear to action and actually move towards what we're resisting? So, have you ever found yourself in that spot, Olivia, or a relationship to what you're resisting before?
Yeah, absolutely. All the time. I think a big part of being in our 20s is this conversation around our potential and how close we are to fully accessing whoo y'all. I was like, that word did not sound right, but accessing our fullest potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like, when we're raised in this capitalistic structure that is always teaching us, to work and to do these things a certain way, a lot of us have this inner desire to do maybe something that's off the grain, or something that would transform our lives for the better, but we are so stuck in this indoctrination, or we're so stuck in a different type of thing. And so for me, this conversation is understanding like the mountain that is in our way to
Ooh.
get to where we need to be,
Mm.
because oftentimes it could be the uploading of a YouTube video, or the establishing a workout routine, or the considering my relationship to my family and my friends, and or understanding my values that could help push us over that
Mm.
mountain.
Mm.
And like in astrology, there is this thing called, the midheaven, and which is this the point in the sky that kind of discusses more about like our destiny and like what we're supposed to overcome in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
In spirituality, we hear karma thrown around, or dharma, and all of these concepts kind of stem back to our own personal struggle of like what we're supposed to overcome. And oftentimes, sometimes what we're supposed to overcome can feel like too painful or too Yeah,
Yeah.
just like it can just feel so. It's like, how are we moving towards what we're resisting to get on the other side of it? Because one thing that I'm learning when I look at people, even like you or others that kind of show up with things, no one is really showing up with anything.
Mhm.
Like they're working really hard to get
Mhm.
the thing that they're showing up with.
Mhm.
And they had to push past what they were resisting. You see these crazy weight loss stories of somebody that's 600 pounds, and it's like, did you think they just woke up and, like
Mhm.
they had to go through so much to get on the other side of that. So
Mhm.
what is the relationship that you're having with the things that you really want to get on the other side of, and what are the steps, professional, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, like what are you doing to move past that is the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah, man, it's such an important question because I think sometimes we don't tether the barriers or the difficulty in moving through that with what's to gain. We only see, oh, I'm never going to be successful, or I'm never going to be like that creator, or I don't have the resources like that. Like, but not seeing that if we can move through those, it is tethered to our success. And I feel like if we begin to see the tether, then it will give us, I hope, the sense of urgency or even just the sense of hope that it's possible and can get us to the other side of that mountain. Like you said, I love that visual so much. And I really think about this idea in terms of the stories we tell. I think a couple episodes back, I was talking about, or maybe I was just talking to you, Olivia, about this of feeling really called. I'm such a private person and I really just kind of let whoever's around me be a part of the journey. But if you just don't know, I'm not good at recasting or telling that narrative. I'm just kind of like, I arrived, like you said, but feeling compelled to tell the story so that not for people to feel like it's a 12-step, oh, she did it, I can do it too, but just the calling of what happens when you lean into that, and not in a way that we're all fighting our demons, but how do you coach yourself through that? And how do you lean on community to get through that? So I think the byproduct ends up being a reflection of how in the weeds you were willing to get, how deeply rooted your community was. And it reminds me of the like satirical speech that Issa Rae gave that one time,
Mm-hmm.
where she was like, I did it, like forget my team, like all this stuff. And it was hilarious because we never hear it in that way. But in reality, it is all of those things at play that get just one person through that success marker. And I just want to tell more stories that give the depth and dynamics of the going towards what you're resisting and what it takes and the resources to move through it.
Yeah, everything feels like it happens really fast.
Yeah.
And something like, your life path or um, a vice, something as simple as a vice, it's going to take a lot of intentional reworking of your subconscious brain
Yeah.
to overcome that.
Yeah.
And there becomes a time when we do have to acknowledge, what is standing in the way of my own success? What are the beliefs that I have? And how can I reframe this, or like what can I do with this? Because if you continue to hold on to it, then you won't ever reach your fullest potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that can feel, a bit scary, especially when you hear people, on their deathbeds when they talk about like their biggest
Oh my
regrets,
gosh. Yeah.
and it's like, I just wish I would have done this. I just wish I would have done this. And like every day isn't promise. So what are we doing today
Yeah.
to counteract, the resistance?
And so for you, has there been things that you're able to tether yourself to kind of trudge through that process a little bit? Like, is there facets of it that help ground you or give you a little bit of, I guess you could say, light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I think I lean on my community more than anything.
Yeah.
I really have them speak into me. My like when the fog just gets too foggy and I'm like, I can't figure out where to go, left or right, but like, so I'm just gonna sit here. Like I'll talk it out with my community, and I have never really been someone to kind of look at people that I don't know to inspire me as much,
Yeah.
but I just look at what I do see.
Yeah.
And I do remember the times that I felt really proud of myself for overcoming the hump,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think when you train yourself to do it enough times, it becomes
The first instinct.
it's not even, it becomes the first instinct, but it just becomes less scary, you know? So I know that I'll be able to do it because look at what I did the past time. And just kind of keeping a track of the times where I defied the odds, or I didn't think I was going to get past this, but here I am.
Yeah. Just popping in here because we are going to take a brief break before we continue the conversation. Oh my gosh, I think both of those are such like helpful examples of what you can lean on to push through and kind of take the leap and invest in what you're resisting towards. I absolutely love leaning on your community because I know there's so many times where we can't even begin to fathom how other people see us. And it's almost like seeing yourself in true reflection. It's like you can't, the mirror is only one angle of it, and it's kind of obscure in a way. So you have to have a community that you trust to be able to speak into you. And I think I love a practice of being a little bit delusional in the sense of I really try and exercise my imagination of what's possible for me. And I kind of joke sometimes. I actually joke with a lot of people that I'm just on a yacht somewhere in the south of France, like living my best life. And even though that's not actually what I want to be doing, there's a feeling and an essence that I kind of invoke when I think about that. And for me, that's always really grounding to tether to. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know why I'm having to do all of this because I want to get to that feeling. And being able to be proximate to that and summon that for myself, I think in a weird way, I've learned over the years, I'm so much closer to it than I think. Because like you said, when you start to have so many examples of how you have overcome it, you begin to be that story. Like that, there's just more of those moments than there are of not. And so then it becomes a practice of like, wait, yeah, push me, bring me to my discomfort. Like that's my growing edge. That's where I'm better. That's where I get to refine all of this. And then all of a sudden I find myself being the best version of myself and being surrounded by other people who also are prioritized. I'm like, oh, if that's what we get for leaning into what we're resisting, I want more of that. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Gimme.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about Blue Ivy in this past,
Oh, yeah.
Renaissance tour, and how it came out that, she was just supposed to do one show. And then after seeing the comments, going back to the drawing board and being like, actually, I'm going to keep trying and doing this. And so it's like, when you're able to overcome these huge things, it becomes easier for you to envision the future.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole practice. That's the whole practice of manifesting, of like believing that you can get on the other side of it, but acknowledging what's keeping you from doing that is the first step. Because oftentimes when you envision yourself there, and let's say you get there, but you still don't have the money habits, or you still don't have, the demons, let's say, just for the sake of the word, like to conquer, are conquered, then you lose the beauty of those moments, because you're still focused on trying to, get out of certain situations. So it's food for thought. And especially as we're entering the new year, setting that intention, or even acknowledging and becoming aware of the things of like that's been keeping me back, or been keeping you back, is a helpful practice to level up, or to glow up, as the kids say.
Yeah. So I agree. Whether you're really considering your relationship to where you feel like your life's purpose is going, or just down to the minute of something your heart is really just put on you that you want to do and put out into this world, or accomplish running a half marathon, a 10K, or putting out a YouTube video, I think there's a place for this conversation on both sides and in between, of just taking a moment, like you said, as we're reflecting into this end of the year, of just what does this conversation even bring up for you and resonate with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we hate to leave y'all. We do every
We'll
single
see
time.
the sister friends next time. All
It's gonna stick. It might.
We'll work on it. I'll know in my heart when it's ready.
All right. Well, I couldn't have said it better now. All right. Well, peace, love, blessings.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
All right, that wraps up our episode this week. We'd really appreciate if y'all could rate us on Apple and Spotify, as it really helps grow our BGF tribe and support our podcast.
As always, the conversation continues on Instagram and TikTok, so connect with us there if you want to join in on all the keys.
With that said, we will see y'all next time.
Rest well, folks.